Rev up your engines! Okay, today I'm going to answer the question, are Mexican-made Toyota Tacomas any good? Now, I have two of them. This is a 2022, and that's a 2012. Now, this is my son's, it's a 2022, doesn't have that many miles on it. I maintain it, so I expect it to hold up. It has, but as you can see, since this one is made in Baja, California, not really Baja, California, it's made in Mexico. 3 means it's made in Mexico, but it says de Baja, California. It's in Spanish, you notice it's made in Mexico. But here's a 2012, similar. Also made in Mexico. As you can see, same thing. They make it look like it's California. They should take that California off. It's made in Mexico, okay? And this is a 2012, 1111, while the other one is 10 years newer. The customer just bought this one last year with 50,000 miles on it for 30 grand. Now they're expensive because they hold up. It's pretty hard to find a 12-year-old Tacoma with only 50,000 miles on it. I mean, that's kind of hard to find. Let's just face the facts. He did, and at least superficially, it's held up quite well. They're both TRD Sports, 4-wheel drive, have add-on steps. I added aftermarket ones. They bolt in. They come with the plugs. You take the plugs out, it's already threaded. They just bolt on. Real easy to put on. They both have variable valve timing V6, although the new one, it's a little better gas mileage. Now, this 2012 has a 5-speed automatic transmission. Well, my son has a 6-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission in his. They both have electronic 4-wheel drive systems, high 2, high 4, and low 4 to push in. They have traction control. You can turn off if you want. Add-on power supplies. They both have good amount of seat in them. The old one has a manual sliding window. My son's has an electronic one, like a Ford. This 2012 now has 58,000 miles. He bought it with 40 something, almost 50,000 miles. So now he's put on almost 10,000 miles. He's had no problems at all. He's due for a second oil change. That's all he's had to do to the things. They're still really dependable vehicles. Now, I had a customer in Houston that had the same vehicle. He had 250,000 miles on it. It was also made in Mexico. Looked like a brand new truck, just like this. Looks really good too. So let's get my fancy computer out. How we do the usual. Plug in the old scan tool. There it is. Ha! They hid in this box. I don't know, they get carried away with themselves. So we'll do diagnostics. It's a Toyota, obviously. We're going to do standalone diagnosis. Tacoma 2012, 1 GRFE V6 engine, okay. 2012, so it's 12 years old, but it can still do a basic topology scan. So here we go. And while it's scanning, we'll look around. Traditional setup for a pickup truck. Doesn't waste time with a stupid sunroof. The seats are fabric and they've held up really well for being 12 years old. 2 trouble codes. So we'll start with ECM. Startability fault, that's totally typical. These things, sometimes the keys don't work, you buy them used, or the battery gets weak, you get a code. That means nothing for a Toyota unless it keeps coming back and back and back. We'll erase that code. And now we'll look at the airbag system. We'll go over the trouble codes, and what does it say? Passenger seat airbag active mode indicator. Some weird thing about the passenger seat. Maybe somebody turned it off here. I don't know. We'll just erase that for now. See if it comes back. We'll go to ECM and we'll look at live data. And here we go. Remember, black is good, red is bad. We'll start analyzing. So far everything's black, looks pretty good. Battery voltage is good. Short-term fuel trim isn't bad. It's not even 1%. Oxygen system, look, 1 is perfect. It's only a tiny bit off. There is perfect and a little bit off. Thousandths off, not much. Misfire is complete, no problems with that. Transmission data is all good. They say everything's black, like it's supposed to be. Injector's working fine. Look at this. Total fuel trim. Bank 1 and bank 2, 0. It's not doing any trim because it's running perfectly. Let's take it for a road test. It's got a little bitty backup camera on the rear view mirror. Kind of confusing. You see part of the world here, and then you see the whole thing there. Awful tiny. For old people like me, it's kind of hard to see. And I noticed extremely smooth idle. It is a V6 engine. I hate the fact that Toyota isn't making these with 6s anymore. They're only putting turbo 4s. I think that's a big mistake. This transmission shifts nice and smooth. My son's a little bit bigger. It's 1 more gear. It's more electronically controlled, and it does get better gas mileage than this one does. But hey, for a 12-year-old vehicle, it's in immaculate shape. You'd have a hard time finding one of these used like this with such low mileage. I mean, Jesus, 12 years old when he bought it. It only had like 49,000 miles on it. The thing I can hear when I'm listening around is the tires. They're somewhat radical tires. They make a little bit of road noise. And you certainly can't blame the vehicle on that. You can put tires that don't make as much noise. I put Kumo tires on my daughter-in-law's Tacoma. They don't make any noise at all. And they're pretty aggressive tires. I'm really shocked at how well they work. But I'll show you why I like the V6s in these things. It's very smooth torque. It's nothing like a Turbo 4. And these things last. Now this thing's only got 58,000 miles even though it's 12 years old, but like I said, I had a customer in Houston that had one made in Mexico the same year. He had like 250,000 and the engine still ran fine. Didn't burn any oil. So we'll look behind us. I don't see anybody. Guy's carrying a big load in front of us, so we'll slow down a little. And we'll try the old drag race. Hey, it gets up and goes. Smooth shifting. Hey, nice sound from a V6 too. Try as you may, you'll never get that out of a Turbo 4. They're completely different. These are better for towing, pulling your boats in and out of the water. They're better all-round vehicles with a V6. I can help the guy pick his corner with this thing. It is four-wheel drive. It's really a nice, smooth, all-around four-wheel drive pickup truck, even though it's made in Mexico. No steering problems, no shakes, no shimmy. The bearings are all good. This thing was put together quite well. Now, of course, they're not cheap. You had to pay a little over 30 grand for this used, 12 years old, but because of the low mileage, he actually got a deal on this thing. He could resell it easily if he wanted to, but he wants this thing to last forever, and it may very well. So after a little lunch, I'm headed back, and I gotta say, this thing's in excellent shape. Sure, he had to pay 30 grand for a 12-year-old vehicle, but hey, probably got another 20, 30 years out of it. So even though this Tacoma's 12 years old and made in Mexico, still in excellent shape. So it bodes well for my son's 2022 Tacoma. That's the same version. It's only 2 years old. This thing's 12. It's still in immaculate shape, so it looks like his is going to be in good shape, even though it's made in Mexico. And sure, they're not giving them away, but hey, if his 30 grand is still going 10, 15, 20 years or more from now, that is a bargain. And you can't buy them new, the V6 engines anymore, only the Turbo 4s. All more reasons to try to find a good used one. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, Volkswagen's $27,000 electric car is now being tested out. It's called the ID.2. Could they think of a better name? You know, come on now. Now, the reasons it's $27,000 because that's like 25,000 euros. They wanted to sell a car that cost 25,000 euros. You can't buy one yet. They're going to put them for sale in Europe first. Now, if it does, and they don't have any problems, which I kind of doubt. Volkswagens always seem to have problems these days. But if they're at least somewhat reliable for 25,000 euros or $27,500 US, hey, it could be a game changer for electric cars. Now, I could see it fitting in Europe. Yeah, they claim that they have 270 miles of range. Who actually knows? But they don't drive as far in Europe. They don't have long distances to travel most of the time. Now, of course, it is a compact SUV. Now, I can see it's not fit for the American market yet because the one I'm looking at, it's a two-door. Americans want four doors. Americans are lazy. They don't want to have to open a door, climb around the seat. They want four doors. So if they're going to sell it in America, they're going to have to add another couple of doors. Now, Volkswagen, if you know, invested some money in Rivian. They got some kind of relationship going on. So they're using Rivian software to help them with their problems. Well, that kind of makes sense, you know. The Rivians are overpriced stuff, but I mean, if they got good software, Volkswagen can share it with them, pay them some money. Hey, maybe they'll actually start getting together, the electric car companies, instead of fighting each other like Elon and Tesla. Every time somebody tries one of his stuff, he says, I'm going to sue you using my stuff. Even though originally he said he was going to share it free to the world. Well, that went down the toilet when he started selling a bunch and realized there's competition out there. So, hey, if they can sell an electric car in Europe for less than 25,000 euros, we'll see what happens. You know what I say? Let the Europeans be the guinea pigs. Try the stuff out first and see where it goes from there. Well, Boston, I say wake up before it's too late. A local Boston TV station just showed that the electric companies are putting a surcharge on everyone's electric bill to help pay for building electric car chargers. Right? Even if you don't have an electric car, it's going to be on your bill. You got to pay for this. You know, what's horrible is when they start putting these surcharges on. Now, We don't have what we used to have because hardly anybody has a landline anymore. But the last time I had a landline in Houston, Texas, man, I read the bill once, and there were like $18 a month surcharges for the weirdest things you've never heard of. 911 equalization fees, blah, 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 blah. Once they start adding these taxes on, it's too late. And why should somebody who doesn't own an electric car pay for the electric cars? It doesn't make sense. Now take gasoline excise tax. You buy gasoline, there's an excise tax on it, right, to pay for the roads. Well, you're driving a car, you're using the road. Hey, the people that don't drive cars, they don't pay the excise tax because they're not buying the gasoline and paying the tax. Why should people who don't even own an electric car have to pay for an infrastructure for something that's stupid to begin with? What are they going to do next? Well, we got to add a $50 a month charge now because we got to build a new power plant on the road and you guys got to pay for it, la, la, la. What total nonsense. They've lost their minds in Boston. They certainly have. And their whole idea about making it electric and making everybody pay for it makes me vomit. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.